I'm Sam.
And I'm Greg.
We're human beings. And we like movies.
We'll be doing reviews of brand new releases,
Old classics,
entire sagas,
and even TV shows and video games.
This is Reaction Time.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 77 of Reaction Time Podcast.
77.
What's up, dog?
Not much. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
I'm excited to talk about this.
As good as I can be, really. I mean,
You're as good as you can be
about?
because you just witnessed Deadpool and Wolverine.
I just witnessed Deadpool and Wolverine, as did you.
Yes.
Dude,
Today,
I mean,
we are talking about the greatest movie ever created.
we'll talk about it, but I mean, that's a high bar, but I think by the end of this, people will have an idea of where it sits in that mix.
Yes.
Real quick, we're going to go spoiler free.
Oh, yeah.
And we will very much let you know when we jump into spoilers so that you're aware.
There are lots of them.
There's so many spoilers. The whole movie is a spoiler.
Pretty much.
So,
and you don't want it to be spoiled.
No,
So
you absolutely do not.
If you're going to watch this, make sure to watch it first before listening to the spoiler version.
Yeah, because we'll ruin just everything.
Yeah.
All the way. So be careful. So right off the bat, Craig, I already know that you liked the movie. Okay, that's a given. You're on the
Obviously.
liking side of this. Where are you giving it? I want a few things from you. One, I want you're out of 10. I also want it placed in the Deadpool trilogy for you.
Okay.
And that's it for now.
Okay, so it's hard because I would say there are certain things I liked about the first one a little bit more. And there's a couple things I liked about the second one a little bit more. But I literally had a headache after watching this movie because I had laughed so many times and so hard.
This is legitimately a laughing out loud movie.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
So, in terms of experience and fun, this is easily my favorite out of the three.
Fair.
Easily. I still think the second one has the best end credit scene ever created.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This one was really good, but nowhere near as good as the second one.
Definitely.
But for the vibe and how much fun and stuff I had, is it a perfect movie? No, it's not. Does it have the most compelling story? No, of course not. But I haven't had that much fun, and I don't know, probably the second Deadpool, but I had more fun in this one than I did in the second Deadpool.
Yeah.
So I know this is a little crazy, but this is a 10 out of 10 for me.
Dang, bro. Holy Moses.
It is nowhere near a perfect movie, but
on your scale?
But on my scale,
10
it's
out of 10.
perfect.
Respect. That's amazing.
It's like the Super Mario movie, right?
Yeah.
Fan service galore, but even more in this, and just a blast. I had so much fun. I love the bromance of Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, so that's why I've been so excited for this, for them to finally, I know X-Men Origins Wolverine, obviously that was when they were first in a movie together, but that wasn't a good movie.
Right.
It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. And so this is like the redemption arc for like both of them, and they did it beautifully.
Yeah. Totally agree. So I'm going to give it a 9.6.
Okay.
But that's basically for one aspect of the movie, which is just the story of it. Like, I think this had the weakest story, or maybe not the idea of the story, but the the writing of the plot, I think, was the weakest in this movie
Okay.
of the three. Personally, we'll kind of get into it.
Because I would say the second probably is the
second just feels more cohesive. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like,
yes, but I will say this one hit more than in the second one did for me.
absolutely, yeah.
But it's all over the place.
Yeah, that's the thing
Yeah.
that I'm saying is
Yeah.
like, they had so much fun with it that I think they got a little bit sloppy, but it's almost like, who cares?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
don't.
It's not a disappointing 9.6 for me.
No,
That's not. I don't feel disappointment. It's like that's my actual real score. But like my score on the side, if somebody asks me, is like, yeah, this is 10 out of 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
If
Yeah,
I'm being
if I-
a movie
if I-
critic, it's a 9.6.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the same thing. I'd probably even do like a 9.4, but
Yeah.
I'm not a movie critic. I'm a movie lover.
Exactly.
So.
And so if I look at kind of, our categories even, I think that this is the best in every single category except for the story. I think this has some of the best action of any movie ever. I will tell you right now, I think that this just went to number one as far as best soundtrack of any movie ever.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
this is beating Holes. This is beating Remember the Titans. This is beating freaking Nobody. Like, this is top of the top. I looked
so
up.
good.
Disney made the official playlist on Apple Music of the songs that are in the movie, and it's just like banger after banger after banger after banger. It's incredible, and they're perfectly placed. But the score too is very good.
Yes,
And there's some
is.
stuff they did with the soundtrack mixed with the score that's so good that I'll get into. But I mean, just fan service.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing is like I was listening. I think it was in the Hot Ones interview with them, and was it that interview? It was that or another one. Basically, Ryan Reynolds says, at the end of the day, people care way more about how they feel about the movie than kind of anything else. It's like
Right.
nobody is. You may think that you're hyper focused on CGI or something, but when the movie ends, you're thinking about how you felt about that movie. And that's what this movie did is like, it did a bunch of things imperfectly, but like nobody cares. Because
Nobody
it's
cares.
such a blast. They just made it for people to have fun. And they nailed it right on the head. It was perfect.
To me, it felt like Avengers Endgame, right?
Mm-hmm.
Infinity War, I would say, is the better movie overall than Endgame, but I loved Endgame more because of the fan service that I got.
Yeah.
And just how it kind of wrapped everything up. And so this is kind of how I feel like the same way. Yeah, I would say Deadpool 1 probably has overall the best story out of the three. But I had so much fun. And that's all that I wanted.
I just think the movie absolutely delivered.
100%.
It delivered basically on just almost everything I wanted. There were a few things that were kind of like, I was making kind of an educated wish at who or what was going to be in the movie. But those were kind of not things that I would take points off of.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But there was also more things in this than I thought there was going to be.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Same.
And they were glorious.
Glorious. So good. so good.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Go watch it whenever
Leave your kids
you
at
can.
home.
Leave your kids at home. This is a rated R movie. It doesn't have any nudity, but it has literally everything else.
It is so gory. It is so profane. But it is so good.
So funny.
It's so funny. I actually, this is what happened. I have now taken notes. I took 2 total notes in the theater, and it was literally probably in the first 45 seconds of the movie.
Right.
And then I realized if I try to take notes during this movie, I'll be looking at my phone the entire movie because it's joke after joke after action after joke after this cameo. Like it's just. I was like, you know what? I'm going to remember all of this anyway. I'm going to watch 6 breakdowns of the movie anyway afterwards. Like, I'll take notes afterwards. So I put my phone down and I just like watched the movie the rest of the time. And, it just didn't disappoint.
Oh, and there would be times where I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to write that down. And I would start to, and then I'm like, wait, something crazy's happening. And I would be like, I got to watch this. And then afterwards, I'm like, crap, I don't remember exactly what was said, but this was so funny. I'll think this is what it said, so I'll write it down. But that's the thing. It's just one after the next of just fun coolness.
This movie had the opposite problem of, I feel like a lot of the movies and TV shows that we've seen lately, or maybe not like the most recent, but some of the ones before that. This movie, I genuinely think, and not because like, oh, I was having such a good time. I think this movie was too short.
Yeah.
It was about 2 hours of actual movie. Yeah. Because I think the runtime's like 2:07 or 2:08, something like that.
Yeah.
And so I think because of the complexity of what was going on, they would have benefited from even 15, 20 more minutes.
Yeah.
Which is, I rarely have that complaint about a movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's almost always like, oh, they could have cut a half an hour. You know what I mean?
There was a couple times where I was like, that was a little rushed.
Yeah.
I wish they could have delved a little bit longer into that.
Yeah. And so I think that is where the problem with the story and writing lies, is not necessarily that it was super, super sloppy, but more that some of it, I guess, was rushed, which I guess is more of a better explanation of how I feel about some of it.
You got to think about it. This is Fox's introduction into Disney, right?
Yeah.
And so just that was so much ground to cover. And just kind of like trying to explain some of those things, and like even like how is Wolverine in this and things like that. They did those things perfectly, but then the rest of the stuff that they were trying to do was like super sped through, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could have watched a 4-hour movie of this and been totally fine.
For sure.
I think even just a little bit longer. It doesn't need to be a 3-hour movie, but even like maybe 2.5 or just a little bit less.
Yeah.
Just to really give a little bit more time to do things.
Yeah. And I do also just, at a very basic level, I feel like it's weird that it was so short. Because this is like an event movie. Yeah. Or at least that's kind of what they're, marketing it as. And it is. I mean, it's maybe as far as story goes, it's not quite an event movie, but just what it is and who's in it, like the Deadpool, Wolverine, like that thing is an event. This is the event movie of the year.
Yeah.
Like regardless. And so I think it's like Endgame was how long? 3 hours or longer?
3 hours.
So I just think it's weird that this one was an hour shorter than that, where they could have done more.
Well, since X-Men Origins Wolverine, comic book fans have been waiting for a legit Deadpool and Wolverine because it was just not done well. And so as soon as people knew that Hugh Jackman was going to come back as Wolverine in this movie, it became the movie. Yeah. And so, I was a little shocked when they announced the runtime and they were like 2 hours and 7 minutes. And I'm like, oh, that's a good runtime. Yeah. But I already felt it was short to begin with because I was like, there's a lot you got to unpack in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll get into it a little deeper, but I got some things to say about it. But that's kind of, for me, that's it. Just buckle up, be ready for a good time.
Yep.
And just
a dang good time.
It's so fun. It's so fun.
Oh, one quick thing that I will say before we get into spoilers. Hugh Jackman, look, Ryan Reynolds is fantastic as Deadpool, right? He kind of just plays the same character in a lot of his movies, right? He's found his niche, which is great. It's like Tom Cruise. He's good for Mission Impossible. I will say, though, having Hugh Jackman in this, really, Ryan Reynolds looked like a B-list actor next to Hugh Jackman.
In two different ways. Because one, Hugh Jackman, I forget how incredible of an actor he is.
He's
like
so
I always remember that he's very talented because he can sing, he can dance, he can act. But then when you see him like act, it's like, oh, I forgot about that. You know what I mean? And Ryan Reynolds can act too, but not nearly at the level of Hugh Jackman.
No.
And then on top of that, part of me was like, does Deadpool look way skinnier in this movie? But then I was like, no. He's just standing next to freaking Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman, who is jacked.
Huge. And maybe Ryan Reynolds is a little bit skinnier in this movie, but either way, it's just like,
it was crazy to see them next to each other and like, because there's a couple, there's no spoilers in this, but there's a couple like dramatic, intense scenes between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, holy crap, Hugh Jackman, and then like, okay, Ryan Reynolds, like,
yeah. And he's still super funny, but it's just the caliber of acting.
Perfect.
Yeah,
he's perfect as Deadpool. He's perfect in like the proposal and like things like that. But when it comes to the more real dramatic type stuff, he's good.
Yeah,
I think there are times where he's really, really good, but next to somebody like Hugh Jackman, who, I just forget how good he is.
Mm-hmm.
You see like Prisoners and The Prestige, and you're like, man, he's good.
Yeah,
like a top actor. So next to him, it's just kind of like, oh, you are good, but next to him, you're not. You're still really good as Deadpool, but some of that stuff didn't hit as much as when Hugh Jackman was performing those types of things.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Okay, should we jump into spoilers?
Okay. Let's do it.
All right, folks. We are going to spoil this guy.
Get on out of here if you haven't seen it.
Yep. Go follow us on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. Leave a review on this podcast, please. If you're on Apple Music or on Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. It helps out so much.
Leave a rating on Spotify.
Yeah, leave a rating. Do all the things. Okay.
Join the Patreon if you want to recommend a movie or a TV show.
True.
So, yeah.
All right. So,
okay, let's do this.
If you're brand new to this, we rate our movies out of 1,000 because movies are, in the end, worth more than 10 points. We have visuals, story, and writing, kind of that deal. Acting, the score and sound, and the vibe. And each one of these categories are worth 200 points. And so we will just go through each one, give some notes, give our scores, total it up at the end for our score out of 1,000. So, it's unorthodox, but it's actually perfect. So,
it is perfect.
Here we go.
Our rating score is the best.
Yes, it is. We've come up with the flawless rating score.
Yes.
So let's talk about visuals.
Okay.
Let's jump right into that. I mean,
the beginning.
It's this whole movie. It's like we're going to break down everything. The beginning, man, how are we even going to get through this?
I don't know.
When the way my jaw hit the floor when he just pulls Wolverine's dead, his skeleton, his adamantium
skeleton
out of the grave and just sits next to it. Because he's all talking, he's like, everybody thinks he's dead, but I know that we can't die. So he's just buried under here, alive, and then just boom, he's sitting next to the skeleton, he's fully dead. It's so funny, man.
Oh man, it was so good. And then how he proceeded to use his entire body of skeleton bones to just murder all of the TVA people.
Yes.
Was incredible. During the opening credits, right? That's how you do an opening credits.
My only issue with the opening credits is that they put people's names.
But it's great.
Movies don't do that.
Why?
Do you not remember the opening credits of the other two movies?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's like written by some douchebag and starring God's perfect idiot. So
that's true.
That was my only thing where I was like, besides that, the opening credits are literally a flawless masterpiece. It should be hung on repeat in the Louvre. Like, it's perfection. But I'm like, why are you choosing now to start putting people's names in? If anything, this is the funnier time to just go all in on
they could make something great for Hugh Jackman.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it would be so funny.
That's funny. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. But I mean, otherwise, the fighting, the killing from that, using his bones.
Oh.
When he says he's going to use every single one of the bones to kill everybody, and then he just goes, hey, he says he has weapons, but he's not going to use them, and he just murders people with bones. He's throwing femurs into people's heads. He straps on the Wolverine claws. And he's not great at using them. It's just, it's so funny. It's so good.
And I didn't realize, because I went and saw this with Lindsay, and he's like dancing in between, you know?
Yeah.
Because this, for people who haven't seen it, if you're listening, this whole opening credit scene is to NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize he's doing the choreography for NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye.
Yes.
I didn't know that. Lindsay was like, I don't know if you know this, but he's actually doing like the legitimate dance. And I'm like, this is so great.
Did you see that he does literally throughout that scene, he does every single move from the music video except for one?
Oh, really?
In the music video, Justin Timberlake does a superhero landing. And it's the only one that Deadpool doesn't do because he says it's bad for your knees. And it had to have been intentional.
It had
guaranteed.
to have been intentional.
So it's just a funny detail. But yeah, he does. I think he does every single move throughout that whole thing. And it's amazing.
That's incredible.
It's so funny. Yeah, honestly, my favorite kill from that scene, I think it's from that scene, is where he takes his sword. Well, no, it had to have been later because he didn't have... Wait, did he have swords? I can't remember.
I don't think he used them, though.
He has a sword and he throws it. This is maybe way later in the movie. But he throws it at the ground
it's the
and
last
it bounces
one.
off the ground and it just goes through the guy's face.
It's the last one.
Yeah, so funny.
Yeah.
That was really good.
I don't think it's in that NSYNC's Bye 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 thing.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
later.
it's when it flashes back again and then he just kills the guy.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So I only have a few notes. They're all like stuff towards the end. But one of the things, so I don't know if you know this. I forgot his name. I think it's Ron Liefeld. He's a comic book artist.
Yeah.
And
he's terrible.
He's terrible at drawing feet. Specifically.
Yeah, and kind of everything else.
Kind of everything, but he's really bad at drawing feet, so he usually avoided it. So when Deadpool and Wolverine are coming out, like towards the end, there's this store that says Liefeld's Just Feet. And I think it's an alternate universe where he just draws feet rather than not being able to draw feet at all.
And it's like an orthopedic store or something.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really funny.
It's so funny.
It's so funny. Here's the thing. We can't talk about this whole movie. We'd be here for hours. But
yes,
the running joke with the minivan, he's trying to sell the Kia, and the people say, why do you want the Odyssey? Or sorry, how does this stack up against the Odyssey? He talks so much trash on the Odyssey, and then that's what they end up getting. And then they have one of the most glorious fights inside of this car.
Yeah.
And it's just... in a world of lazy action choreography, in a lot of movies recently, movies and TV, this is so well done, it's hard to put into words.
Oh, yeah.
It's clever, it's action-packed, it's true to character.
Yeah.
It's so thought out and cared for, which I think is a huge thing that makes this movie what it is. It's just... you can tell, just if you listen to any interview of anybody who worked on this movie, they just care. And that's where literally where the concept of this franchise has come from is like Ryan Reynolds wanted to do Deadpool correctly because he loves the character. And it's just has happened every single time. And so just that fight is so good.
Footage.
Yeah, exactly. Which is that's so smart. The smartest thing he's
smart.
ever done. But when the fight ends and they're laying there in the car and Wolverine's, I think they're both asleep or dead. And Wolverine's like laying there and Ryan Reynolds is wrapped in like a million seatbelts like a mummy. It's such a hilarious visual. It's so funny. It's so funny.
Would you wonder how he got there? Because he's got swords and stuff that can easily cut those seatbelts.
Oh, absolutely. And I was like looking at it and I was like, that's more seatbelts than are in the entire car. But
100%.
Whatever.
100%. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's a lot of those things that you just don't care about in this movie because it's just too good. Yeah. All their fight scenes were amazing. The first one when they're in the void and you got the 20th Century Fox thing in the background.
That fight in the void it's probably my favorite like little thing that has ever happened in an action scene ever. When he kicks up his clips and he catches them in his guns, right? He catches them and then he loads both guns on his like chest.
Perfect.
It's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's the coolest thing ever. 100%.
And I was talking to somebody about wanting to try it, and then I realized, like, I would absolutely just pinch my skin so bad and be the saddest person ever. But
yeah,
and you have to have just immense amounts of strength to do that,
and a thick suit,
and a thick suit, or you're not gonna have nipples. But it's so cool, and just
it's so cool.
Like this is. From what I can remember, this is the first time in live action you see Wolverine like run on all fours.
Yes.
And it's so comic accurate.
Yes.
And it's so fun. It's so
good.
fun to witness. But it's such a good fight too.
And you wonder why they never did the comic book costume. He looks so good in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like it looks amazing.
Yeah.
And it's like, why did they never do this before?
Freaking Bryan Singer, man. It's his fault.
Yeah.
Did you see what he changed the names of his swords to?
No.
So in the last two movies, I can't remember the names, but the bottom of his swords had the name, each one had the name of one of the Golden Girls.
Oh,
so it was like there's one Golden Girl and the other Golden Girl on the other one. This time around, it had all four initials of all of them. So now he's like giving out to all four of the Golden Girls. Just changed the names of his swords. It's really funny.
Baby knife.
Yeah, baby knife. Baby knife.
And I like how he said it every single time he pulled it out.
Yeah.
I loved all the different Wolverines. Henry Cavill, we got as Wolverine.
Henry Cavill.
Which is fantastic.
Comic accurate height Wolverine.
100%.
Tiny little 5'3".
Tiny little 5'3"
So
Wolverine.
Small.
Which was so funny. Dogpool. The greatest thing ever.
Yep. I'm
funny.
In love with Dogpool.
I love that X-23 still has her sunglasses. From Logan. That was great.
Yeah.
One of my favorite shots was the one shot in the bus of all the Deadpools.
Yeah.
And Wolverine just sitting there like stabbing him over and over or just holding on to him and just stabbing him.
Yeah.
And then when he's stabbing all of them and Ryan Reynolds is like pushing him forward to like help him stab all the Deadpools.
It's so good. There's so much going on in this movie. I'm guaranteeing I'm watching this one again in theaters.
Yeah.
Like I have to.
Yeah.
I just feel like I have to. So Cassandra Nova getting her hands like all up inside people's heads was really good because
really good.
I feel like it was verging on body horror, but I never felt it. Like it's super unique.
It's so
it was
weird.
really cool because it's not gory. That's what makes it so weird is because any other like I feel like body horror has to be gory, and this is not. It's just it feels weird to witness.
The only time I could say it could borderline on gory was when she did it to Paradox.
Oh yeah,
and she would go down his eye, and his eye would bulge out a little bit.
Yeah,
like
that's
that
true.
was like.
That's fair. Yeah, but I thought it was really just visually, it was really well done, and it was a cool concept.
Oh yeah, super.
But
cool.
I think they did it really because I kept looking and I was like, even when she poked I think Wolverine in the forehead and her finger went through. I was looking at it and I was like, I can't even think about how they're doing that visual effect right now.
No, but it's
I was
perfect.
like, is she bending? But like, I guess they just rotoscope it out. But I was just thinking,
was her whole finger just like CGI?
I know. I guess maybe that's a total possibility. But I'm like, then you got to delete the finger and things change. I don't know, but I think they just did it really well. Really well.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the CGI in this movie was really good. There was some that it wasn't perfect, which is how all of the movies have been, but not in a distracting way. Actually, there was one. The only thing that to me that was a little distracting, but it was maybe on purpose, so I'm going to let it go, was when Human Torch turned into the Human Torch. The CGI was awful.
It was pretty awful.
But I was like, are they doing 2005 CGI on purpose?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Because they would. You know what I mean?
They would. And he's still technically in the void and is in 2005.
Yeah.
So I could see that. Also, when they fell on the Kia, like through the Marvel Sparkle Circle, the crash looked a little bad.
Yeah.
But nothing that was like
Don't
horrible.
Care.
Yeah.
One little Easter egg that I love. Did you see the Stan Lee carpet cleaner on the bus?
No.
So it said Stan Lee Steamer, but it was Stan Lee and it had his face on it.
That's amazing.
Or Stanley Steamer carpet. Yeah, Stanley Steamer carpet cleaner, but it had him on the bus. I was like, oh, they put Stanley in it.
Dude, that's so cool.
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
Stanley.
I know. So those are all of my notes for visuals.
Yeah. It's hard because yes, I could pick apart some things that didn't look perfect. But there were so many things that were just incredible. Him having the mask.
Oh,
obviously
the mask.
His shirt getting blown off.
The mask looked so stupid and so awesome all at the same time.
I know.
I was like, this is so dumb. I love it. And it looks cool also. And it looks bad and it looks good. And I'm conflicted.
The first time he put it, it was like the first time he put it on, I was like, oh God, this is so bad. But then I was like, I kind of dig this. And then I was like, yo, he kind of looks sick.
I think the thing that saves the mask is the whited out eyes. I think if it was just like eye holes, it would have looked so stupid.
So dumb.
the eyes, I think, were the thing that helped it work for me.
Yeah.
Because I think I was more excited that they were doing it. That like superseded or whatever the way it looked. You know what I mean? Like I was just excited that they were finally putting him in the mask.
Right.
So, yeah.
So I'll give it. Oh, man, it's rough. Not everything was perfect, but so many things look so good. I'll do 196.
Okay, I was gonna do 195, so that works.
Nice.
But yeah, honestly, it's just a few it's just VFX things.
Yeah.
But other than that, like cinematography and most of that score for me is just like choreography.
Yeah.
It was so well done.
And it was so good.
So good. So
the whole fight in the Honda, the fight in the bus, the fight between the two of them, even the big battle between all of the ex-mutants and all the
freaking
people.
X-23 slicing up Juggernaut's Achilles.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So cool.
And Gambit's powers look dope. Like they
were so cool.
I loved it. I think because the Gambit from the earlier, like I think it was X2 or X3 or something, they had a Gambit and it's just like, I think he was in there for just a minute. It's just regular playing cards that were just straight up bombs. And I was like, whatever.
No.
This Gambit was
sick.
The powers were really good. Really good.
I would 100% need a movie now.
Yeah.
Not an accent like that for the whole movie.
No,
it
the
worked,
whole movie. I don't want to understand a word.
It worked for the little bit that it was in the movie, but I want that because that was so cool.
It was really cool. You can at least be in like Secret Wars or something. I don't know, but yeah. Okay. Let's jump to the story.
I have a bunch of notes.
So here, I'm going to give a quick. Well, should we do notes first and then my synopsis, or vice versa?
My notes are literally everything that's just one-liners.
Okay, I don't have a single one-liner written down, so I'm going to let you take care of those. How many do you have?
1,
So
2,
many?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. Well, let's just go back and forth. I have 5 notes, so you do 2, I'll do 1, and then I'll give my synopsis of some things at the end.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
His love of Thor the whole time. Why is
Amazing.
Thor crying? Incredible.
And then every time he wakes up,
I know. Thor.
God of Thunder or Thor, just everything. It's amazing.
Okay, we're really quickly on that. Was that Chris Hemsworth?
In the video?
Yeah.
Yeah, what I saw was that it was not new footage. They just superimposed Deadpool into Loki dying.
Oh.
It's like shot for shot. So I don't think it was new footage.
I was like, did they get Chris Hemsworth to come in for like one clip on a TV?
I mean, they could. You know what I mean?
They totally could have.
They're both Australian,
I know.
you know?
And then Suck It Fox, I'm going to Disneyland. Oh, that was great.
Oh, that was so funny. Like, suck it, Fox, I'm going to... He like smashes the camera on his face.
Uh-huh. Okay, what's your note?
Okay, actually, I don't have that many. So
Okay.
my entire thing is just how I feel about it. So I'm actually going to let you do all your one-liners, and then I'll talk about it at the end.
Get my country's name out of your mouth.
Oh, yeah, dude. So funny.
Bashing on Will Smith. That was the funniest thing.
Incredible.
When he tells Wolverine, welcome to the MCU, you joined at a low point.
You joined at a bit of a low point.
When Chris Evans dies and he's like, that was really good. Do you know what he was doing to the budget?
Oh, yeah. They said something about overinflating, like, oh, yeah, it's good that you did that because if he had been in here any longer, we would have overinflated the budget or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. The Marvel Sparkle Circle. When Nice Pool says, I can break the fourth wall too, and he just looks over, he's like, the proposal. And then just looks What's the wind resistance on those blowjob handles? Probably my favorite line of the entire thing when he's talking about Wolverine's mask.
The blowjob handles.
I want to show you something huge. That's what Scoutmaster Kevin used to say.
Scoutmaster Kevin. He mentioned Scoutmaster Kevin twice in this movie.
Oh,
and
does
I can't remember what the other one was, but it's towards the beginning.
Oh, no.
Or is it no, it's not Scoutmaster Kevin. Is it Kevin Feige? Because at the beginning, after he's like, he gets the suit put on by the guy, and he's like, just by the way, your tailor is definitely a predator. And then he says something, I can't remember what he says. I want to say he mentioned Scoutmaster Kevin, but I can't remember. But
oh, okay. I can't remember. And then I love how they eat shawarma.
Did you? Yeah, he goes, did you know the Avengers discovered shawarma?
I have one more, but it's like a more kind of cool thing at the very, very, very end. So
okay, so I kind of already talked at the beginning about how I feel about the story of the movie. So I think jokes wise, they did a really good job. I don't think every joke landed for me every single time, but it was still super funny. So here's my deal with the story. I think they tried really hard to do both a villain and the bromance, and they tried to kind of keep them equal. And I think that was really hard for them to do. And they had two villains because they basically had, when some movies do this, you have a villain that's like not good enough at being a villain, so they have to introduce another villain to kind of pick up his slack, right? And so having two villains and doing the multiverse and the buddy relationship thing, it just became a lot for them to tackle really well. So there were times where I was like, the story's not moving along fast enough, and then it moves along too fast. So it's kind of like this weird, like herky-jerky, like feeling.
They spent a lot of time on like Wolverine and Deadpool and like their backstory.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, that's great. I need that. But then you're also introducing this new villain and like, what's the whole thing with that? And like, I get you.
So one person explained it like this, and I think honestly, like when they said this, I was like, that's how I feel. They said this movie felt like an appetizer. It was really good. and I would have had more of it, but I'm not leaving feeling like full meal satisfied. Right. So it's not that the appetizer is bad, but it's like, oh, I could watch the sequel right now.
100%.
I'm fully ready for it. And it's kind of like you order like an 8-piece mozzarella stick for your appetizer, but they like bring you 6.5. And you're like, oh, are you serious? Like, I'm not going to like complain, but could I have the little bit extra, you know? And, but they did set it up to where it feels like, you know, Deadpool and Wolverine those two actors are coming back. I can almost guarantee that's happening.
Do you think?
Oh, yeah. I think the joke about them having Hugh till he's 90 is barely a joke. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I feel like this is what I think. They already announced the next two Avengers movies. They're going to be super multiverse movies. I think there's absolutely no chance in hell that Hugh Jackman does not come back for both of those movies. And I think those will be the end.
But I don't think we're getting another Deadpool and Wolverine movie.
No, not necessarily. But I do think that both of them are going to come back. But yeah, it feels like something that was almost like this movie was just a tease. Like it was a really long teaser trailer or something.
Yeah.
And not that the movie itself didn't wrap things up, but it almost feels like, for me, something didn't wrap up, but I think it's just the leaving me wanting more, which is a totally okay thing for a movie to do.
Yeah.
So there was this weird dynamic inside of me of lacking that wish fulfillment and getting everything I had hoped for, but also absolutely being so grateful for what it was giving me and everything we got from it. So it's this weird thing where I'm like, I'm not disappointed, but I'm kind of disappointed, but that's not my overwhelming feeling.
No, I totally get it.
So
I do feel the same way where, you know, I mean, as soon as they announced it, that when Ryan Reynolds gave that Deadpool update and he's like, hey, you want to play Wolverine one more time, Hugh? And Hugh just like walks by eating an apple and he's like, sure, Ryan. Like that's it basically, you know? Like since that moment, I've been like, oh my gosh, this is going to be incredible, right?
Yeah.
And I almost wish there hadn't even have been a villain in this movie. Like
that's how I feel.
I wish it would have just been like a buddy cop the whole time, because when it was like a buddy cop movie with Deadpool and Wolverine, those were my favorite parts, right?
Yeah.
I think the actress that plays Cassandra did really, really
so
well.
Good. Yeah.
She was a great villain, but I didn't care. I didn't need her. You could take her out of that, and even Paradox should have just been who he was at the beginning and not like, oh, now I'm going to destroy all the universes or whatever, you know, that he was doing. I would have loved if it had just been like Deadpool teaming up with Wolverine to save his universe and just leave it at that. And then just Deadpool and Wolverine both getting their redemption arcs and stuff like that. But don't even introduce Cassandra, because then they introduced Pyro and he was like, he took over for Cassandra.
Yeah,
but then,
he's like the spy, and
then he just dies like instantly.
So there's like three separate villains almost that are kind of working together, but are all against each other, kind of.
Yeah,
and it's
they got
a
little bit into Spider-Man 3, just a little bit of that, right?
Yeah,
and so. Yeah, that I totally understand that. I'm so like fulfilled with what I got, but I just want more.
Yeah.
And I think that's because there just wasn't there was so much of Deadpool and Wolverine, but there was so much times that it felt like there wasn't any Deadpool and Wolverine. And I'm like, that's all I want in this movie. Don't give me anything else. I just want Deadpool and Wolverine. I love the cameos. I love all that kind of stuff. Put them in there. But it was like, I don't even need a villain. Don't even give me a villain. Just give me a fun buddy cop movie of fourth wall breaking and just having fun.
Yeah, or even at least just do like a little bit of Paradox who's like, I'm going to prune your timeline if you can't do this. Yeah. If you can't get a Wolverine to save it. And then that's it. I don't need a twist. I don't need another villain. I don't need any of that. So yeah, I feel totally the same way where it's like Cassandra Nova's really cool, but at the same time, I think she's too powerful to have had the amount of screen time and to have been defeated as easily as she was. Because the weird thing too about her character is like, she's really powerful, really cool. And then she kind of just shows up and puts her hand in the Time Ripper. Like her hands are in the Time Ripper and she's ready to destroy it. And then that's like the last you see of her. There's no pushback from her. Like she's just there and then she dies.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, at the end of Age of Ultron, you see Thanos. He's like, I'll do it myself. And it's almost as if then the next time you see him, the Avengers just whack him.
Exactly.
With no pushback. They like sneak in and chloroform him and then slice him into tiny bits.
Thor goes for the head this time. And
he goes for the head. So, yeah. So I do think like overall, they definitely had some weak points. And I think the issue is that they just didn't reach their potential. But the reason it doesn't feel quite as bad is because the potential of this movie was so much higher than the potential of a lot of other movies. So it's kind of like they say shoot for the moon because then you always land on the stars, which is astronomically inaccurate. The moon is way closer than the stars. But I think just because they were able to go so much farther and they fell short, they still landed farther away than other movies because of everything that they had to work with.
Of how good everything else was.
Yeah, it is that weird dynamic of like, loved it so much, kind of disappointed by some stuff, but I'm going to be totally fine because I loved it so much.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, that's my long thing.
Okay.
And also the post-credit scene was hilarious.
The post-credit scene was great. Chris Evans had to have just had a blast doing this whole movie. I was honestly surprised how much he was in it.
Me too. I thought he was going to die immediately, and he didn't.
Immediately.
He died a little after immediately.
And then he was in the post-credit scene.
I was really bummed. That was the character that got spoiled for me.
Okay. So that was the character that got spoiled for me, but I did not realize that he was the Human Torch. All I saw was a thumbnail, and it showed Chris Evans and Deadpool. I thought they were bringing Captain America back.
Who puts a thumbnail like that? That's horrible.
Oh, it's so horrible. And so I thought that's what it meant. And so when I saw him, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a thing. And then when he turned to the Human Torch, I was like, okay, didn't fully get spoiled for me, so I'm still in love with this. And if anything, it almost probably made it even a little bit better because I was like Deadpool anticipating Captain America and saying, Avengers assemble and
flame on. That was the bummer for me is I was like listening to something. I was like, there's no way they're going to talk about Deadpool. And then literally they just start a sentence with like, yeah, so we got Chris Evans, Human Torch, and Deadpool. And I was like, are you kidding me?
You're like, what the heck?
I immediately turned it off. I was like, this sucks.
That's so
dumb. I would have been totally fine knowing that Chris Evans was in the movie because I don't think I would have guessed Human Torch.
No.
But it was still hilarious because the people I was with, I knew they didn't even know he was going to be in the movie. Like, and Courtney loves him. She's literally, he shows up and she goes, oh, he's so hot. And so and I was like, oh, you're about to find out how hot he really is. I didn't say that, but I was thinking it. And because and it kind of looks like it could be Captain America. He's got the blue on and stuff. And so he jumps down and I can tell that Courtney's super stoked to see Captain America. And so I'm just kind of giggling in my seat. But yeah, so honestly, what a great cameo, a great idea.
So good.
I kind of wished a little bit that they had made him look like Fantastic Four, beard shaven, short, kind of spiky hair. I kind of wanted that a little bit more, but I was totally fine with him, being how he was. But it was just really funny.
Yeah.
Was that the first big cameo of the movie?
Other than Happy.
Oh yeah, Happy.
He's probably
other than Happy and Hulk.
Cameo. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Hulk.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so do you have any other story notes?
So the only last thing that I had, I don't know if you saw this or if maybe you heard or were listening to something, but I noticed after the credits were done, it said for Henry Delaney.
Yeah.
Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't. And
Okay.
so I looked it up and I was like, because I saw it said for Henry Delaney and I was like, oh, I wonder who that is. I'm going to look it up. Yeah, it's Peter's son. I had no idea.
Yeah.
It's like his 2-year-old son that died of cancer.
Yeah.
But I was like, that's so cool that
Super,
they would
super
put that
sad.
in there.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then there's another guy actually. What was his name? So they had a thing for him on the back of the bus. So they pan over the bus and it's Stan Lee. And then on the back, there was somebody else who died in April. And he was like an editor for the last 2 Deadpool movies and this
really?
one. So I think he was like in the middle of editing it or he's an editor or producer. He was somebody like who had been a big part of the movies. And he passed away in April. And so they did a quick thing to like put him on the back of the bus. But
I just thought that was so cool for them to put
yeah,
that
there
at
were some
the
cool
end.
things.
Not even a
Yeah.
main character, and so, but that was cool.
yeah.
Then to put that for Peter.
Yeah. Okay. What do you got? Story. This is really hard for me.
It's hard because the story was good. There were times where it was bad.
Yeah.
The writing was fantastic in terms of all of the jokes. But some of the writing wasn't great because of how the story flowed. Okay, if I'm being honest, it's hard because, okay, 176,
Okay.
I'll give it. And that is because the story is very, just like you said, it's like tugging at you and like that. The jokes are like pretty much 200 in terms of in the fourth wall breaking and all that kind of stuff. But then the actual story is like 150-ish because it's still good. And Wolverine's story and stuff like was really good. Like I felt the emotion from that, but that's mainly because of Hugh Jackman. But I thought they did that really, really well. Deadpool's thing of wanting to matter just felt like, something to kind of put in there. It wasn't like as dramatic as Hugh Jackman's side was.
Yeah.
And so like that was like a really cool story point that I felt hit really well. So
Agreed. I will give it 180.
okay.
Same thing. I think everything was good except for the actual plot and pacing itself was not great. And the plot was pretty plot holey.
Yeah.
It was like also, so apparently it was set in modern day, which means Logan isn't dead yet. So I'm like still trying to figure that one out a little bit. Like he's not supposed to die for 5 more years because that's, 2029. So I'm like, okay, I'll look past it. It's fine. I don't know.
But they're
what's
fourth
going on.
wall breaking. So in theory, he has died in our universe as moviegoers.
Maybe. Yeah, I guess that's true. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, something I forgot to talk about in visuals. The end shot when they both have the contraption, right? And Wolverine's shirt blows off.
My gosh.
Was that totally a homage to Guardians of the Galaxy? When them all holding hands together because they all have the purple stuff going through them. Wolverine and Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds have like the red and the blue, and it's like slowly spinning around them, like in Guardians of the Galaxy in the first one when they're all holding the thing. The camera kind of slowly spins around. It totally felt like Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Interesting. I didn't think about that, but yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. One more visual thing. When his shirt, first of all, the fact that it's just his shirt flies off is so funny because there's no reason for that.
And then
But
Deadpool
then
just like
leans back and looks over at his abs, and it's just the camera is so close up on his abs. It's hilarious. So good. Okay, let's jump into acting. Most of my notes are just listing the cameos.
Yep.
But I do have some actual acting notes. So let's go one by one. What do you
Jennifer
got?
Gardner, Electro.
Yeah, Elektra. Have you seen
Beautiful.
that movie?
Yes.
I've only seen clips, but I didn't realize that they had been married. And so it's so funny when he mentions Daredevil and how it's a
and she
bummer
just
he's
goes,
not there.
eh.
And she's like, eh. I was like, oh, that's funny, but I didn't realize how funny
You didn't
it really
realize
was.
how funny it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, we've already talked about so many of these. Wesley Snipes' Blade,
Bro.
and he
Oh
drops
my
his
gosh.
classic line of "Some mother
Incredible.
F is always trying to ice skate uphill." So funny. What a funny line too.
And he's like, there will only be one blade. And then Deadpool just looks at the screen. Channing Tatum Gambit.
Which is, it's the best one.
It's amazing because people that know that there was a movie where Channing Tatum was supposed to play as Gambit that never got greenlit makes it even more funny when he says, I feel like I was born here. He was born there because he never had a movie. He was always in the void. And so
he was always in the void. It's such a funny, if you know, like that line is so funny. He was, right when he showed up, I immediately was like, hell yeah, this is perfect. And then he did it so well. Because basically, right when I saw him, I kind of thought, he can play this however he wants and I'm going to love it.
yeah.
But then it was far better than I thought it was going to be because he was funny in classic Channing Tatum fashion.
Yeah.
But there was something different about him that worked so well for the role.
It worked so well.
It was almost like, because a lot of times when he's joking, you can tell he's joking, like in his other movies. And this one, you couldn't tell that he was joking. Like, he's joking, but you couldn't I can't explain it. You have to see it.
I think it was because of the accent.
It's the accent, but the accent also is so funny in the line there where he says, "Who's your dialect coach? The Minions?" You couldn't understand most of the stuff he said.
No.
It was so funny. But that is how that's how Gambit was in X-Men 97. It's like absolutely unintelligible. I cannot understand anything. But man,
I just love so much that they even included that.
Yeah, and I just
so perfect.
I'd love for him to have his own movie, but I don't even need that. I just need him to be in the next movies.
Come in the Avengers.
And his suit actually was dope. Right
Other
away,
than the head?
I was like, something's weird. And then I was like, you know what? No, this is exactly what it's supposed to look like.
I know, but the head looks so dumb. But the rest
It's
of it
so
was
dumb,
so
but it's
good.
exactly
know.
right. But it is, because that's how a lot of the X-Men suits are. They're stupid. They're really stupid suits.
Oh yeah.
But
Well, I love how they all had their comic book suits. Like Jennifer Gardner's Electra is not her movie. She was like in this red, like kind of ropey, like suit, which isn't it at all. But in this one, she was comic book accurate, know? And so I just love how like they all come back, but they're in like the correct comic book suits and everything like that.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
X-23 coming back was great.
Yeah, X-23 is so good.
Sabretooth.
She's great. Sabretooth. Pyro. The devil guy who teleports.
Yeah.
Juggernaut. New Juggernaut. Not the one from Deadpool or from the X-Men. Different guy, but still Juggernaut. Ray Park. Darth Maul back as Toad. Did you know that's Ray Park?
Did I miss that?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Who kills him? Somebody grabs his tongue and kills him with it. But yeah, that's who Toad is in X2.
Oh my gosh,
and in this
I
one,
totally
it's Ray Park,
missed
the
that.
guy who plays Darth Maul. So what's
I totally
funny is,
missed that. That's
Courtney
cool.
and I were watching all the X-Men movies in preparation for this movie. And I hadn't seen X2 since I was like 12. And
Oh, yeah.
Toad shows up and he does like one flip. And I was like, that looked like Darth Maul. And I immediately went to IMDb and I was like, yep, there he is. It's like immediately I just knew for some reason. But so he was back.
Chris Evans as Human Torch.
Chris Evans, Human Torch. Henry Cavill. The Hulk.
Happy. Peter.
Yeah, Happy. So did you see the thing
Dopinder.
about... Did I talk to you about Spider-Man? About the whole thing about Spider-Man? Okay, so in Happy's office, how there's a bunch of memorabilia and all that kind of stuff. And then there's that picture of Tony Stark with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but Tom Holland's blocked by that little Iron Man helmet that was worn by the kid in Iron Man 2. So first of all, the reason they blocked him is if they had shown him, they would have used up one of their allotted movies to use Spider-Man.
That's insane.
And so it's like, even if they literally just show him in a photo, it's like, okay, so that's one of your movies.
That's
so
insane.
they didn't show him. And the reason that that toy Iron Man helmet was in front of it is in Iron Man 2, when the big droids are coming down and killing all the people, and that little kid in the Iron Man helmet stands up like that, Iron Man lands behind him and kills him. Kevin Feige recently canonized that kid is Peter Parker. Because it's like,
No
that's
way.
the neighborhood he's Peter Parker lives in anyway. And so I think what happened was a bunch of fans like came up with this theory that that's Peter Parker, and then eventually Kevin Feige and Tom Holland were like, yeah, that's true. That's what it is. Because it's like, he would have probably wanted to go to this expo because he's a smart kid and all this stuff. So it's like, yeah, it makes sense that that's him. And so that's, I think, why that helmet was there too. So it was a cool little like...
That's cool. They
Spider-Man
couldn't show him,
thing.
but they used the mask to show him. Huh.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then just all the Deadpools. Blake Lively. I'm super bummed she didn't take her mask off.
I know.
Because
I was really hoping they were going to do a thing with that.
First of all, Blake Lively is super hot. So there's a bummer there. And then second of all, I just really wanted her to take the mask off, and I really wanted him to fall in love with a multiverse version of him that is his wife in real. I think that would have been so funny.
It would have been so fun. It felt like a huge missed opportunity.
And when he says that, like, or somebody says that, oh, it's Nice Pool. He says that Lady Deadpool just had a baby and bounced back immediately. That's funny because Blake Lively just had a baby like last year and bounced back immediately. And so it's just a funny little meta commentary there. But then just all the Deadpools. One guy from his Ryan Reynolds soccer team was one of the Deadpools. Apparently Tom Holland's brother was one of them.
Yeah, supposedly. That's what they said.
There's just like so many things. So many Deadpools.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
And the little head one.
Yeah,
the
head
skeleton. And the baby was supposed to be one of his kid. It's one of his kids. Kid, right?
Yeah,
that's so funny.
So, just all the cameos, but aside from the cameos, Hugh Jackman stood out the whole movie as just he just again showed off how elite he was. He's like a seasoned quarterback just winning the Super Bowl again because what else does he do? But there was one scene where they're in the van and I think it's when Ryan Reynolds says he made an educated wish, which is so funny.
The funniest thing ever.
And he just rips him a new one and he yells at him. And I'm just like, this guy's elite.
Bro, he's incredible.
Incredible.
I watched that on YouTube because somebody had posted it. I watched it like 4 times and I was like, oh my gosh, he's so good.
He's so good.
He's so good. And even all the times in like when she's like in his mind and everything and he's just like talking about the like death and all that other kind of stuff. I'm just like, bro, you're so good. Holy crap. He's amazing.
Yeah.
He's 200. I mean,
so good.
Easy 200.
Oh yeah. Cassandra Nova was really good.
Yeah,
she apparently
really
plays
good.
Princess Diana in The Crown, which I have not seen.
Okay.
But I think everybody in The Crown's an incredible actor from what I've heard, so that makes sense. And then Paradox, I did not like his character, but I was talking to Courtney about it, and he's in Succession, which I have not seen, but Courtney has watched. And she said he's really good at playing somebody who is who wants to be like large and in charge, but at the end of the day is absolutely a wimp.
Okay.
And that's kind of what his character is. And I can't tell if I didn't like the acting or if I didn't like the character.
I don't think I don't think I like the acting.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the character. The way he talked and moved just felt weird.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. Something about it was off.
Yeah, he's not my favorite. But literally everybody else I was just stoked out of my mind for.
Oh my gosh.
Everything else was so good.
The bigger guy that was like in love with Deadpool and Wolverine. 200 out of 200. Dude.
Yeah. And Nice Pool. I love that Ryan Reynolds really thickened up the Canadian accent for that one. Really funny. And then another thing that I thought was funny, which is not necessarily acting, but when they're watching back Logan's death. And then it shows some of the TVA workers and they're like mouthing the words like they've watched it a million times. I thought that was such a funny scene.
It's so good.
So good. So,
okay, what are you going to give it?
Really, really high marks for everybody except for Paradox. But I think that's the only person who even remotely didn't work for me.
Yeah.
And Hugh Jackman, it was just so good. I'm going to give it a 197.
Okay. I was going to do 188.
Yeah.
No, I was going to do 188.
Yeah, but
Paradox was to the point where he was distracting, so it's more than just a point.
Yeah. I think he was a big thing that didn't work for me in the movie. Like,
yeah.
Maybe it was just like his character, the writing of his character, the acting of his character. It just threw it off a little bit. Whereas if it had been, like, honestly, I would have loved it so much more if they had shown up and maybe it's Mobius, right? Like Owen Wilson. And he says, you have to go do this or your timeline's going to die. And then he goes and then Cassandra Nova is the only villain in the movie. Like that, I think would have been way better.
Yeah.
But, you know, at the end of the day, this is what we got, and it's okay.
Yep.
It's fine.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk about the score and the soundtrack and the sound and all of that.
My favorite thing is the very beginning. Him just singing along to the Marvel theme.
Yeah.
And him just commenting like, oh, man, that theme is so good. It's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, that, and then bye, bye, bye.
Bye, bye, bye.
Oh, also the comment when he says there's 206 bones in the human body, 207 when I'm watching Gossip Girl. So funny. So funny. In love with that. But yeah, and then just after that, I mean, bye, bye, bye. Oh. And then when they're driving the car, it's
oh my gosh.
Avril Lavigne. They do Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls. They
Time of My Life, Green Day.
Yeah, the Good Riddance by Green Day.
The
one song though that really stuck out to me a lot, and I'm mad because they have not released it yet. This is my Post Malone of your song. At the end, when they're holding hands and they're destroying the Time Ripper, the children's choir cinematic version of Like a Prayer by Madonna was so good.
So good.
I was like listening to it and I kid you not, this is the first time this has happened in so long, I got goosebumps. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And there's some like versions of it out somewhere, but like the official version is not out. And I will listen to that forever if they ever release it. Yeah. But everything about that worked so perfectly for that scene.
So good.
And I'm just, it was so good. But I mean, on top of that, just the music choices everywhere were so good.
Everything was fantastic. There was literally not a song that missed at all.
No.
Everything worked perfectly.
Power of Love by Huey Lewis.
Oh my gosh.
Also.
So good.
Which Huey Lewis always makes me think of The Office when Michael gives Daryl a list of his top 5 Bruce Springsteen songs. And 4 of them are Huey Lewis in the News, and 1 of them is Tracy Chapman. It's so funny. But yeah, they like repeated a couple songs that they had used, but
just like the action sequence songs were so good.
Yeah. When they did
like
Hell's Bells, when they here's a few things. I guess this is slightly off topic, but a few things that I was hoping for that we didn't get, that it's like not a deal breaker, but I would have been super stoked. I wish that when they went to one of the universes looking for Wolverine, it was either Hugh Jackman in The Greatest Showman or Hugh Jackman in Les Mis. I thought that would have been so funny just for a second to see that. And then they did end up playing a half a second of The Greatest Showman in the car. Which kind of was like almost enough for me.
Yeah, it was. What I was hoping was going to happen, because Wolverine and Sabretooth, like that's kind of like a battle people have been waiting for, right? So what I thought was going to happen was when that moment happened, I thought they were going to start playing it and Ryan Reynolds was going to be like, ladies and gents, this is the moment you've waited for. And then they were going to battle to that song.
So funny.
It would have been
Unfortunately,
so good.
that's not a Disney movie because I think they absolutely would have done that.
I know.
Guaranteed.
But it would have been so great.
But it was like that and Daniel Radcliffe Wolverine were really the two things I was super hoping for.
I wanted that
didn't
so
get.
bad. I would have loved him just be like, Harry Potter, what are you doing here? You know, like just something like that.
Well, yeah, because in the second one, one of the funniest things is he's like beating up some guy and he's like, who are you? And he goes, I'm Batman. It's so funny. But anyway, we didn't get that. But anyways, so like I said, this I think is now my favorite soundtrack of any movie. And I think that Like a Prayer, honestly, was the cherry on top for me, the thing that really tied it all together where I was like, this is super incredible. And
so
freaking good riddance at the end with all the Fox X-Men. Heartstrings.
Dude, that hit me.
My heartstrings have been pulled on. Thank you very much.
Yeah. That's where I felt it was the end.
Yeah.
That's where I felt we weren't going to get another movie. I don't know if we'll get Wolverine back. I honestly don't know.
I bet money that we do.
Okay.
If this movie hits $1 billion, that's an even higher guarantee that we do.
Yeah.
Hugh's not done, dude. Have you seen him? He's shredded. You don't get that shredded at 55 for one movie. He said he ate 6,000 calories a day for it. You don't just cut that out.
What's your score for the score?
200.
Is it 200?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, I gotta go with you on 200.
Yeah. Flawless
And
execution.
the sound effects. Oh.
Yeah.
Especially the beginning with all the bones and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so
the bones.
good.
And then I just remember feeling when they had their first fight in the void, I just remember for some reason, I mean, the clanging of swords has been done for honestly like probably almost 100 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something about it this time though it sounded right.
Yeah.
Just the swords against the claws. I don't know. Maybe it was just the way I was feeling, but the sound effects were just on point.
They were so good. Because I feel like a lot of times sword on sword sound effects can be awful sometimes.
It's like one person recorded forks hitting and then everybody's used that since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it's even like nails on a chalkboard, just like really bad.
Yeah.
This was so clean.
It was so clean. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. Vibe. You giving it a 200?
Easy.
I'm going to give it a 199.
Nice. I knew
Because
it was going to be a 199.
I have to be honest, but
nope.
a 199 is still so high.
I haven't had this much fun in a
it.
movie, and I don't even know how long. So how is it not
honestly,
a 200?
that's what's hard is... no, I'll give it a 200 because really this...
There's problems with it, but...
There is, but vibe. I'm not talking about story. I'm talking about vibe. When I left the theater, I was jazzed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I literally had a headache because I had laughed so much.
Yeah. Dude,
it was perfect in every way. Oh my gosh.
I'm going back to see it. Maybe I'll go next week.
Yeah.
Because I just also feel like I missed a lot of things too. Like I was watching some breakdowns and I was like, I don't remember them saying that. Because apparently when he like for example, when he's in the bar and Hugh Jackman like falls over drunk or whatever, apparently you can see his yellow suit under his clothes, which I didn't even see. And then Deadpool says, oh, wow, it only took him 20 years. I didn't catch that either.
Oh, I caught that.
There's so many lines in this movie that I missed out on somehow. I didn't. And by the way, this movie was so short. Guess how many times I went to the bathroom? 0.
Nice.
I didn't even have to pee once. That's how you know your movie's too short. Here's to me.
I heard him say it took him 20 years. So I assumed he had the suit on, but I didn't actually see the suit.
Yeah. But it's okay. Okay.
I need to watch some breakdowns.
Out of 1,000, Gregory, what do you think you gave it?
965.
965. I'm gonna say I gave it a 958. 958. Okay, here we go. Craig, you gave it a 970.
Oh.
Decent guess. Decent guess. That means I'm gonna be pretty far off. I gave it a 972. I rated it higher than you.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things you rated higher.
You know what's interesting? I only rated one thing higher than you, but it was 4 points higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, 972. Well, it looks like I liked this movie and you didn't. So let's jump into the box office.
I gave it a 10,
real
you give
quick.
it a 9.6.
Yeah, whatever. Let's jump into the box office. So we do have our initial guesses before seeing the movie. You guessed 1.752 billion, and I guessed 1.706 billion. Now, these are our pre-watching numbers. They don't count towards anything unless they are perfect. Then they count for everything. But we can do our official guesses now.
Okay, so
I have my number.
It's been out basically a week.
Yeah. 1 week today. And it's like 540 or something.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Oh my gosh, I don't know. Oh, you have yours?
I have mine.
Okay. This is a super, I don't even know, close guess.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you ready? I'll go first.
Okay.
All right. My guess is 1.010.
1.45 was what I was going for.
Wow. Okay. So 1.450. Okay. And I said 1.010. 1 billion, $10 million.
See, I think it's going to beat Joker.
You know, I think it's possible. But I'm also trying to be a little more realistic, so we'll see. But it killed. Was it the best opening weekend of any rated R movie ever?
It's best opening weekend of any rated R movie. See, and I think I was thinking wildly high. I think 145 is definitely high. I'm going to stick with it, obviously, but I wonder if it's more of like a 1.1 ish.
Yeah,
maybe even 1.2.
I do think that this movie has a crazy rewatchability factor.
Yeah,
which is why I'm like, part of me thinks my number's probably close, but then the other part of me thinks that you're going to be way closer because I almost wonder if the box office is going to kind of almost stay steady. You know what I mean? Like almost what Inside Out did, where it's like every week it's like $200 more million, no matter what, you know?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So I'm curious to see what the drop-off is like.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I
because
hope it
another
beats
part
Joker
of
at
me
least.
is thinking like, oh, it's at 500 now. And I'm almost like, oh, but it's also possible that the second weekend is almost the same. And then we're at my number, you know? So
Yeah. I bet by another week we'll probably be at like 800, but how much more does it go?
I know. But, so I might be low.
Yeah,
I don't know. If so, I still have my 1.706, so maybe it'll be that. Who knows? All it needs to do is like triple its money right now, which is weird to think of, right? Like if everybody just went and saw this movie 2 more times, you got like 1.6.
Oh, yeah.
So
okay.
It's interesting. And there's no box offices to report on because we haven't seen a movie in a minute. I'm going to see Twisters on Saturday.
Nice.
So I'll let you know how twisty it is.
Okay.
Are you planning on seeing that movie?
Maybe. I want to. You need to see Despicable Me 4 still.
Oh yeah, you saw that?
You actually need to see it because I want to talk about one scene.
Okay, deal. I'll go. I'm gonna get the Fat Cats membership and I'll just start going every Monday and Tuesday to every movie.
Dude, I literally have almost 2 free movies already.
That's crazy.
I'm not even kidding you.
That's pretty cool. Oh, wait, Inside Out. What am I talking about? Inside Out 2 box office.
Yeah, Courtney won.
I mean, Courtney won, guaranteed. She's a winner. Freaking every bone in her body wins. 1.523.
Insane.
That's crazy. And it's not
insane.
done.
No, it's not.
It has done almost $1 billion internationally.
I bet it'll probably hit like 1.6.
1.6, 1.65.
Yeah, I don't think it'll go much higher than that, though.
Jeez, dude.
But it's crazy how high it's gone.
Yeah.
Finally beat Frozen 2, so that's good.
I know. Finally. Okay. Well.
Okay, last thing.
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts on Robert Downey Jr. coming back?
I have 2 thoughts.
Okay.
My first thought is if they do the version of Doctor Doom where you never actually see his face because the mask is melded onto his face, and if Robert Downey Jr. acts his heart out on that one, then I'm totally fine with it.
Okay.
My other and the other scenario in which I'm okay with it is if they do the run of Doctor Doom where he takes over the mind of Tony Stark, I'm fine with that as well. Okay. If they're just casting Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom and it's just started from scratch, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Because it feels like 2 things. One, it feels like desperation of we need a big actor,
Yep.
and 2, it feels like, oh, you could have gotten a nobody who's incredible to do this, and you messed it up. Or you could have done another fan casting that people like, because they've done some fan castings that people have loved. Like John Krasinski, people love that. I mean, it was quick, but it was a good idea. And Cillian Murphy as Doctor Doom could have been awesome.
That could have been
Henry
cool.
Cavill as Doctor Doom could have been awesome.
Yeah.
So I feel like they had other options.
Robert Downey Jr. back.
You what?
It feels cash grabby. Like Robert Downey Jr.'s back.
It does unless they're able to really make it work. And I think there's a scenario in which we watch the movie and we're like, oh, that was the right call. But it almost feels like Doctor Strange Infinity War, where it's like, I've seen 70 billion combinations of this and only one of them works. I'm like, uh-oh, maybe that's what it is. I think overall I'm feeling negatively about it, but I'm also very open-minded. Like I'm cool to see where it goes. But what are your thoughts? You just think
I'm pretty much the same way. I love Robert Downey Jr., so to see him again in the MCU is so cool, but I also hate it.
Yeah.
It's so weird to explain, but it's just like you have basically the person that created the MCU by being the hero, and now he's playing a villain?
Yeah, it's like
why?
It's like if you do a Harry Potter sequel and Harry's playing like Lucius Malfoy. Like Daniel Radcliffe's playing Lucius Malfoy. It's like, what?
Why?
So there are versions of this where I think they can do it, but he's also just, if he is just playing Doctor Doom, he's got to sound so different too, because Robert Downey Jr. talking as Tony Stark is very recognizable.
Yes.
His intonation and just all that kind of stuff is very recognizable. So he's got to change it up.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be super jarring and people are going to hate it.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. It's crazy how soon that movie's coming out, though.
I know.
Everything seems like it's moving fast, because even Fantastic Four, when they released it, they were like, yeah, Fantastic Four starts filming on Tuesday and it comes out like summer 2025 or something like that. And I was like, are you guys making a movie in 1 year?
Yeah, that's fast.
Because that's really fast. So I think they're fast tracking some stuff, which I'm fine with, because they only have one movie this year, and then they only really have one movie slated next year or 2. They just have like Captain America, and then I think it's
which is
like
what they're trying to do.
Yeah,
they're trying to step back a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm okay if they because I think they're realizing that they've messed up, which I love. I love when big corporations recognize their mistakes.
Right.
So I think they're pivoting, which is a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. Well, friends, thank you for chilling with us for this episode of Reaction Time. Like and subscribe, dude. Just wherever you're listening, find us.
Like and subscribe.
And love us.
Find us, love us.
I am in the middle of watching every single MCU movie right now on my own terms. I'm watching them all with an open mind. I'm going into each of them completely fresh, and I'm doing my own take. I'm rating each individual movie out of 10. And so I will be making TikToks on my score on each one of the movies. I'm 16 movies in. I've been powering through them. I've watched them over the last 2 weeks. I've just been powering through. Whenever I have a free 5 minutes, I just pull it up and keep watching. So I'm not sitting down and watching them all, but I was just curious to go back and say, is this movie really as good as I thought it was? Is this one as bad as everybody thinks it is? So it's been interesting. I've got hot takes.
That's a lot of movies.
It's a lot of movies. I'm not even halfway through. I can do it. I also think I'm going to watch all this series.
Oh my gosh,
I may rewatch She-Hulk and maybe even Secret Invasion. Actually, maybe not Secret Invasion. It's garbage.
No, it's trash. Okay. You don't need to rewatch that to remember that it's trash.
No, you're right. That was recent enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, everybody, that Reaction Time stands for...
I thought you were starting already.
Oh my gosh.
You said remember, everybody. Yeah, what does this stand for, Craig?
Yeah, Reaction Time stands for remember, everybody. Apples can think. Igloos. What? Okay, sorry. I lost my word of what I was doing.
You're on O.
Igloos only need the integrity, mentality, ego.
That is true, actually. I've heard that about them.
I've heard that about igloos.
Yep. A lot of people are saying that recently. I read a study from Harvard that said that.
From Harvard.
Okay, folks. We love you. We respect you. But we do not like you. And we will see you on the next episode. I'm just kidding. We like you.
Wow.
Craig's like, what?
I like you.
Yeah, he likes you. So he says. Okay. Well.
Okay. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Bye.